I'm very lucky to have trucked up EVs. You want to know what it's allowed me to do? For 2.5 years, I've listened to all of you. What you think or what you expect we should have out of an EV truck. Well, here's the cool thing. Out of all that time over the past 2.5 years, I've been keeping a list. And guess what? We're now going to take that list and we're going to go do exactly what you've been asking to do with an EV truck. Is it possible? Can we do most of the things that you've been hoping to see happen with one? We're going to find out together with this truck how far we can take it and how trucked up we can get. You've probably all been wondering for a while now why I bought this particular EV truck, a 2022 F-150 Lightning Lariat extended range with over 70,000 miles or 110,000 kilometers on the clock. And one of the first Lightnings to roll off the assembly line over 4 years ago. For one, I wanted to buy the oldest. Why? The only way to debunk all the garbage out there about EV trucks is to prove it wrong in the real world. We already know that EVs overall are lasting almost 50% longer than internal combustion vehicles before needing any major service, and the cost of maintenance has also been proven to be much lower than gas, hybrid, or diesel. But because of my crazy off-road adventure that ended in disaster, you can find a link to that video right here or in the description below, I needed to add all those years and miles back without having to drive them all over again. So I looked for the oldest, highest mileage, and cheapest EV truck I could find in Canada. I'll provide a link to all those videos related to that process below if you're interested. This particular truck was a workhorse that operated in Quebec in some of the coldest winters, hottest summers, and the worst road and salt conditions, all while being used as a truck for its entire life. This means that everything we do with it, we've got a 4-year head start. We can find out together just how far, how reliable, and how tough and crazy of a journey we can still put this thing through. Like I said at the beginning of this video, you are going to decide ultimately what we do with this truck, but already my viewers have been pretty clear about a few biggies. Range is top of the list already, along with charging wait times. I have something coming for Quasimoto that has only been tested in a few vehicles on the road so far, but it's a system that in my view is the smartest, most economical way to address both of those issues and concerns without having to spend mountains of money or extra cash or make outrageous modifications or have to go out and buy a brand new truck. To fully demonstrate the versatility of such a system, I needed a wide level 2 charging range. The maximum of many EVs onboard chargers sold today still remains restricted to around 48 amps, which means a maximum potential of only 11 kilowatts. Up until 2024, Ford had put 80 amp internal chargers in these things, and GM has the same in theirs for most EV truck trims. This means a potential charging speed as high as 19 kilowatts instead of the 11. Almost twice the speed and half the wait time. But why a Lightning versus other EV brands? In Canada, the reality is this: they are the cheapest. Everything else in the used EV truck space is still well over $20,000 more than what this cost me. I paid $49,000 Canadian or $35,500 US for an extended range Lariat loaded Lightning. But it goes far beyond the price. These are the easiest out of all current EV trucks, to modify. Outside of the electrical motors themselves, the battery assembly, and the rear suspension, these things are F-150s, and therefore most F-150 stuff will fit on it. Even when it doesn't, it's much easier to work around the problem because the architecture is so similar. But the biggest reason is that over 100,000 of you own Lightnings in Canada and the United States. Some of you are just like me and have always wanted to see what is possible. Because of where I live, I've already done a 3-inch lift kit with rough country that you're probably familiar with. If you haven't checked it out, I do have a full video on when I did the lift kit in Thor. You can check that out right here, and I'll also put a description of it below. And also, if you'd like to install that yourself, I do provide a link below where you can order that 3-inch rough country lift kit. Now that we have all of that out of the way, you're probably wondering why I'm filming all of this outside a muffler shop, which would seem incredibly weird at first glance, especially when the vehicle I have, the last thing I'll ever need is a freaking muffler. But inside are a team of certified mechanics and specialists who do a lot more than deal with a noisy vehicle. This shop does it all. And for trucked up EVs, there's no better place to get this series moving. Castlegar Muffler loves what I'm up to and has come on board to make this all happen by providing me with the space. And to clarify, they focus on everything from mufflers to brakes to suspension to full mods. And a few of the team are recognized for leading in exactly that. We're going to need such expertise to navigate the wish list. I'm no mechanic or mod expert, but nothing is off the table. We'll be able to do it all right here. Let's get the truck inside the shop and go meet the gang. The magic. This is why we're here. And one of the reasons this is no muffler shop is the dude standing right over here. Hey, Johnny Z.
How's it going, Simon?
You are going to be having a little bit of fun with trucked up EVs.
I'm pretty stoked for this build, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've spent a lot of time building a lot of different projects, a lot of time heavily invested in diesels and everything else. So this is it's gonna be a little bit of a learning curve still.
Right.
But with my background in battery technology and everything like that, before I became a mechanic, I'm really stoked to see where we go with this.
One of the things that brought me to this shop, Johnny, like when I talked to Alicia, you guys are specialists in what you do. You do a lot of modifications on vehicles. You focus on suspension. You focus on, you know, the whole truck experience for those who are interested. Tell me a little bit about, like, you've got a very varied background. You're an engineer, is that correct?
Yep. I did go to school, got an engineering degree, got a bunch of other stuff, but my passion has always been motors, building stuff, honestly just making things cool.
So tell me a little bit too, didn't you have a truck at SEMA?
I did actually. I've had a couple of builds that made it so far as SEMA, but I've got an 08 F350 that was very, very heavily modified.
Oh yeah.
Everything from the lifts, front bumpers, rear bumpers, winches, onboard air, onboard hydraulics.
You have got a lot of experience not only dealing with weight, but dealing with functionality of these trucks and being able to go far beyond what they were expected to do. Let me get this right. You had one of your trucks, like it's like, what, an F350 or something hanging from a line?
Yeah, at SEMA, when we brought the 08 down there, the whole point was to showcase a bunch of the technology that we've done with the bumpers and the winches and everything else. So we literally had it single lined about 6.5 feet in the air. Everybody could see the suspension modifications and everything that we'd done to it. So it's pretty trippy to walk into a room and see an F350 dangling by a thin piece of cable.
And that's one of the best things here, having you on board for trucked up EVs, to do some of the things that we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Because one of the things we always hear about all EV trucks is how heavy they are and how that affects functionality in a big way and what you're able to do with the trucks. And you have that background of knowing, hey, we can manage weight, we can manage functionality, we can make these things do a lot. You know, you've been, like you said, working with F250s, F350s. And we always hear about how heavy they are, but this thing's lighter than an F250 diesel.
Absolutely.
And look what you did with one of those. Johnny Z's just gonna do a quick walkthrough of just some of the things that he's never had this up on the hoist. We're gonna look for the very first time at some of the decisions that Ford made. Let's just talk, for example, if you're using a truck, you're going anything off of pavement, approach and departure angle. Do you think maybe some things here Ford has a little lacking because they may have focused more on aerodynamics than they would have actually functionality?
Absolutely. A lot of the things that when you're building an off-road truck, you don't consider the aerodynamics of, because traditionally you've got a big diesel or you're running gas, you're not worried about range, you're not even necessarily worried about a lot of the weight a lot of the time. So the big difference is we're trying to make this a lot more versatile.
What do you think about the decisions that they made regarding things like solid axles? We've heard things like Scout Motors with the truck they haven't come out with yet, but they're looking at bringing an EV back to solid rear axles because it's more of an adventure truck. We've seen with the Rivian, they go off-road, and half the times 2 tires are off the ground.
Absolutely. You're never going to make everybody happy. You're never going to beat the durability of a solid axle. They've been building them that way since the origin of trucks. Some of the very first off-road vehicles, everybody ran a solid axle, whether it was front or rear. The durability is there, but the versatility and the comfort is not. What Ford did really great is independent front and fully independent rear suspension.
And that is one huge lower control arm, that casting that they've done for it. So they didn't mess around, they went robust.
Absolutely. And you kind of need to just to support everything else that you want.
You're going to have independent rear suspension, there's no way around it. They did do a great system on it, but there are modifications that we can do both in how much travel we have, how much lift we have, how much clearance we have for a larger tire. We'll have to be more, if I'm right about this, kind of more custom with the back than we would be with the front. Is that correct?
Yep, absolutely on that. You look at your normal F-150, you don't have the rear suspension. It's not the same configuration, not designed the same way, but we're comparing apples and oranges. And you can get a lot more out of an independent rear if it's built right.
Now, some of the crazy shit up at the front, some is with the, if you look at an F-150, F-150 Raptor, sorry, and we look at the protection that comes off the front bumper, what do you make of this shit that Ford's got going on above us? Well, like this is some kind of fabric or something that they've used?
The engineering behind this is actually really good. Most people who pick up a truck, they look at it, they want it steel, they want it robust, but at the end of the day, you're not worried about protecting what's right here, you're worried about deflecting everything away from vital components.
So you think this is actually a pretty good solution that Ford's come up with?
It is, saves on weight, and it's a fibrous material. The only problem with this stuff that really gets, as your mileage increases and you spend more time in the truck is, they'll absorb water, they absorb oil, they also get heavy too, but there's still a substantial difference between the fiber material and this.
Right,
good old steel.
And we can also see that there's these fins, that you can take a look, and that's coming off the intake off the bumper. And that's directing the airflow. Anything that you see with this plating that's kind of stupid?
Everything from underneath is great.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, one big thing that they kind of messed up with, in my opinion, is what happened to the sides?
Oh, yeah.
So anybody who's got off-road experience knows that you're not always coming straight onto things.
Yeah, grass, crap, mud. And that's all of your, let's see if we can get a look in there. Okay, let's just take a look with the flat. There we go. So that's basically all your high voltage harnessing, your coolant, your intakes, everything is up there. So you start packing up mud and grass and shit inside there, you might have some serious problems. I think we could probably do something there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Johnny, what do you think about this air dam shit up at the front?
I think if you only ever drove it on the highway, it's a fantastic thing. So one of the great things that Ford did do with the Lightnings is this adjustable air dam. So as you're driving down the highway, this air dam will actually raise and lower based on your speed.
It's been said that it's up to like 3, possibly 4% in efficiency savings, but I've already screwed that up, haven't I?
We might have already gone ahead and did a lift in the front, so you're never gonna get as close to the pavement as this was originally designed for.
But there's a lot of things that we hoped we'd see out of Ford with the F-150 Lightning, and they never happened. Now it's been canceled. We're gonna see exactly what this truck is actually capable of if you put the time, the effort, and the expertise into it. And along the way, everything that we're going to do on Truck Up EVs with Quasimoto, we're going to make sure that you can do it too, that you can DIY every single thing we're going to do every step of the way. The first episodes are going to be just a couple of preparatory things for what we're going to be doing later. And as we roll them out, I'm going to reveal every single one of them as we go. And Johnny Z is going to be looking at everything about the truck and how we can do it optimally for the least amount of weight, best performance, and best functionality. Everything I plan to do has to be as affordable and simple as possible to make it a viable option for trucked up EVs and for trucked up Lightning owners to have their mechanic install or to do in their own garage the same type of things. Even more importantly, I have to ensure it doesn't bankrupt me doing it. Some parts of this series might be held up until I can actually afford to do them. We'll find all of this out together. We'll fall off that cliff when we come to it. What I'd love to see from every viewer in the comments are changes you would like to see starting now. I'll be noting them as we progress to lock in the changes and challenges we'll have to overcome as the series progresses. We're just getting started. That was our first visit to the shop and the first introduction to the team, but we've already got our first builds planned. They're coming right up. Let me know, trucked up guys and gals, what your dream truck looks like. We may not be able to get as crazy as you like, but we're gonna give it one hell of a try. As you know, a lot of these things are really expensive. To do any kind of truck build, especially when you're doing mods or anything custom, it's a lot. And we're also trying to bring companies on board that see the value in it when they know that you're interested. So as we move along, we might be putting out calls to action from all of you to let us know if you'd actually buy from these companies if they make what we're asking them to make. We're going to do it all together, but as you know, it's going to be a big undertaking. Any help that you can give, nothing's for free. I get it. Visit the store right here, Trucked Up Store. Get yourself a mug, a tumbler, a t-shirt, a hoodie, something for the dog, anything at all. It helps the channel. I can't tell you how much it means. It makes a huge difference in being able to fund these crazy ideas. And there's going to be a lot more of those crazy ideas coming up, because once we've done each build, we're going to go out and test the build. We're going to go out and see how well it works in the real world. We're going to go farther, faster, longer, harder than we've ever done with the truck before. Yes, there might be a couple of Canada-wide tours coming up yet again. Let's go and do it together, so any help that you can give gets us there quicker. There's the donate button down below too. All help is greatly appreciated. But the most important thing is that you're watching, that you keep coming back and supporting this little channel. And it's helping in such a huge way. Some of you have been with me right from the start. I can't thank you enough. And to all of you, I'm just so grateful that you're here. As always, thanks for watching.